What's up, guys? Sparring Cat, and in today's Battlecats video, I am ranking every Cyclone in the game from easy, well, actually not easy because none of them are easy, moderate easy, up to Category 5 Hurricane. So let's get right into it. And starting things off, we have the AKU Cyclone, who will be going on our number 1 spot in Category 5. And this is because he has 4 shields with 1.7 million health, and plus his base health, so that gives him 8.5 million health. And if you don't have a shield breaker, then he is very hard to defeat. So I recommend you bringing in the Mrs. Sign unit. You get it from defeating one of these stages where he breaks shields. I would also recommend you rolling 4 shield breaking Ubers, which are scarce, but they are in the game. My second Category 5 and my last Category 5 will be the Relic Cyclone, because it can curse units, but on top of that, it's a Cyclone. So, you know, how I was just mentioning a shield breaking Uber? Well, you can't do that against, no, that's not Relic Cyclone, but you can't do that against him because he has Curse, and his Curse disables all of your units' special abilities. So you can't tank against him with special units. You can't use anti-relic units unless if they're immune to Curse. But even if they get hit, it's a Cyclone, so that's going to present a lot of problems. And it could be a really big guy to deal with, but I would recommend bringing slapsticks, units like that, but he's no fun. So these guys you could probably alternate because they are both equally as horrendous in my opinion. And they will be our only Category 5s. Everybody else is a 4 or below. Moving on, we have the Cosmic Cyclone, who will be moderately hard. He has good stats, but it's a normal Cyclone. You could use your floating against it. You could use Alien against it. And the fact that he has 2 traits that you could bring in anti-units for, it makes it a lot easier to manage. So he will be moderately hard despite his decently strong stats. And that's where a lot of them are probably going to end up moderate hard. You know, I can imagine a lot of them ending up there. But moving on, we have Divine Cyclone, who's moderate. Pretty easy once you have Ramen Cat and other strong anti-angel units. So make sure to bring them in, especially Ramen. Ramen is great against them. And the Cyclone usually comes accompanied with other angel units. So Ramen should be able to take care of that whole stage with other angel attackers, of course. Moving on, we have Cyclone, Lil Cyclone. And Lil Cyclone is similar to a couple of the other units on this list, where they are small, spammable, support the main threat, and add DPS. So with Lil Cyclone, you're going to want to bring in Ectoweight, you're going to want to bring in Weed Whacker, you're going to want to bring in Saifu Cat. Those are a few I recommend. Not Saifu, Shaigong. You're going to want to bring in those guys because they are very powerful against him, and you can send them out to meditate against the spammability of them and their burrowing nature. So to put that off to the side, make sure to bring those guys in and alleviate that. So I'm going to place them in moderate, though, because when they come in droves, they are very difficult to defeat at times. So always keep that in mind. Never underestimate them for their size, because there's often more than one of them. Moving on, we have, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions, the easiest Cyclone, the Black Cyclone. It has 10 knockbacks, low DPS. It's just not very threatening. You could bring in Bomber Cat and he pretty much solos him. Or you could bring in Casagizo. There's about 100 different ways you could defeat him. So he's definitely the easiest one on my list. And if you guys agree, disagree with that, any of these rankings, leave that down below. And if you enjoy the video, like, subscribe, and turn notifications on so you never miss another upload. You guys never want to miss a video. Moving on, we have Mesocyclone. And Mesocyclone will go into the moderate with his little bro, because he's the same deal. By himself, he's pretty easy, but in droves, which occasionally happens, you need to be prepared. And by being prepared, that means you're bringing anti-floating and anti-alien Ubers. Bora, or anybody from Elemental Pixies, I strongly recommend against them, and you're going to be prepared for them, and know that they are likely being accompanied by another greater threat. So moderate is pretty easy by himself, but there are occasional times, where he really rips through your units. And you know what? I'm going to move him up to moderate hard, actually, just because of the nature of the starred aliens and the fact that he really could push hard. Moving on, we have another one of the easier cyclones. We have the iron cyclone, the metal cyclone. And if you have a critical hitter, that's all you need. He's very straightforward. You keep piling up with critical hits. You bring in Quizmaster. There's a few guys you could bring in. Jump rope cat's pretty good. And you just keep hitting. Catasaurus, great. He's one of the critical hitters. Paladin. I can keep going on. Kaiosaka Nanaho, that's my favorite one to use. Kronos, Matama. It goes on and on. You could really put him down if you have those units. But you don't even need them. As I said, Catasaurus and Meat Shields could do the job for you too. So he's going to go in moderate easy. He will be one of my easiest cyclones due to the nature of metal and the fact that you could critical hit him to death. Moving on, we have the Will Traitless Cyclone. And he's going to be the same deal there, moderate, because he could be spammable. He's often there to accompany other attackers, and when he does that, he could be quite threatening. And you know what? Once again, I changed my ranking. I'm going to put him in moderate hard, because when you see him, it's usually the clouds before the storm, not after. You're going to be in some trouble, because you get other enemies that get sent out, and then you see him, and you have all this push and all this panic. You don't often see him with other enemies being sent out. He's probably the least common enemy on this list. So keep that in mind. Fight him graciously and keep the anti-traitless thing in the back of your head. So moderate hard. One of the easier guys too, I'm going to put him in the back end of moderate, is the Red Cyclone. And he has a lot of health, but that's about it. He's not very mobile, slow movement speed, not a lot of range. A good amount of damage, though, so you want to keep him pushed back. But in a day and age where we have Apple Cat, we have Pirate Cat, and a bunch of Ubers, Cancan's great against him because of the slow and the damage. Balrog. Actually, does Balrog work? I don't know. But he's one of the easier ones because of those factors. He's not very mobile, and there are a ton of counters to red and floating enemies. That's another thing, too. He's a true trait enemy. So that means you have double the counters against him in this case. This guy right here, he's pretty strong. I don't remember his name, but sometimes all you have to do is look at them to know. He's going to go up here. There we go. Next, we have Perfect Cyclone. And the Perfect Cyclone is perfectly easy if you have Octopus Cat and Awakened Bahamut Cat. If you don't, it's perfectly challenging, because you are not going to be able to get into his blind spot and kill him. He will outrange your units with his 600 range, and he will knock them back and kill them into an oblivion. So what you want to do, send your Octopus Cats out, and once he weakens them, you send Awakened Bahamut Cat out. This is probably one of the most famous strategies in the entire game. So as long as you do that, I'm going to say he's moderately easy, because, as I said, all you have to do is send a few Octopus Cats out. They'll get in, they'll perma-weaken him, and as long as Awakened Bahamut Cat can get in that window that he's weakened, then you pretty much won. Moving on, we have the Traitless Cyclone, who will also join some of his Cyclone friends in moderately easy, just because not very strong stats. I've always thought he's pretty manageable, and although there aren't a lot of counters to Traitless enemies, his stats are not very strong. So he's not too bad to fight. You won't fight him very often in the game. You will most famously fight him in I believe the training stage, but he's pretty manageable. Actually, is it the training stage? I know it's a really early on stage. If you guys know that, comment that down below. But I know you fight him. Oh yeah, you fight him. I think it's the first Cyclone you'll fight, and yeah, he's not very bad. And last but not least, and this guy is probably your category 4. Yeah, he'll be your category 4 today. Yeah, another thing, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So think about that. The categories of a hurricane, if that helps you remember. But in the category 4 is, last but not least, we have Cyclone. And Cyclone is a nightmare because he could burrow. And please bring in zombie killers for the love of God. If you don't, he's going to really suck to fight. Bringing Shoutout to tanking some shots against the burrowing zombies that might get in his way. And try to nullify his high damage and his burrowing. His burrowing is the worst part about him because he can come straight to your base, and there's very little you can do about that besides, cat cannon and pray to Cat God that he will spare you. But this is my Cyclone ranking. We go to Category 5 down to Moderate Easy. As I said, I excluded Easy from this tier list because they are Cyclones and they are strong. But also, as I said earlier in the video, if you agree, disagree with any of the rankings, leave your opinions down below. I have no problems with open discussion and debates. Just keep it civil. And if you guys enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. It really does help grow the channel. I appreciate every one of my followers. And you don't want to miss an upload. You learn something new every day. Sparring Cat signing off. Thanking you for sticking to the end. And I'll see you guys in the next one.